One of the greatest things I've actually been able to experience since quitting cannabis, nicotine, alcohol, and other substances is the ability to actually enjoy traveling again. And I mean like really traveling and vacationing. Currently, imagine this, I'm floating in the ocean outside of Turkey. We've already seen Greece. And then coming up in a few days, I'm going to be in Europe. And one of the coolest things about this experience, and I reflect upon this every time I'm traveling now recently, is I'm not concerned about when I'm going to get my next hit of weed, where I'm going to buy my next joint, what cannabis shop or little bodega I'm going to find, what staff member of the cruise line or the hotel I'm going to talk to see if they can hook me up with a pen or a dab card or something like that. This has been one of the most life-changing things for me when it comes to quitting substances. The amount of stress I used to be under when I was traveling was twofold. On one scenario, I would be super stressed about trying to bring substances with me and traveling with drugs. And I had this massive concern that I was going to get caught, either going through the borders or get caught at TSA in the airports. And fortunately, I never did. And it's not like I was, smuggling drugs, right? It was just enough for some personal use. But it was still a major problem. And there was a ton of fear and anxiety and potential guilt and shame associated with that behavior that not only I could have been subjected to, but also my family. On that same note, let's say, like I did many times, I got the drugs through TSA and I got them through customs. I would run into another problem, and that problem would be the substances took over or took away from any joy that I would have actually attained from traveling, right? So now, being sober, I can actually enjoy going on a tour through Turkey and taking my wife shopping and going to these different restaurants and really getting to today I really got this crazy opportunity to immerse myself in the culture and just had an incredible time. Waking up, working out on the ship with this gorgeous view of the coastline, which you can kind of see behind me here. You can see the hills. And then eating a nice breakfast and going out and doing things with my family and being able to be fully present, not having to think, when am I going to get my next drink? When am I going to get my next smoke of weed? When is this tour going to be over? Is an unbelievable feeling, and it's a feeling that I know I've helped hundreds, if not thousands of other individuals reclaim when they're traveling with their family, traveling with their friends in our one-on-one coaching programs, which you can learn more about with the link in the video description. Another problem that I would run into when I was traveling with substances is I would be too scared to bring it through TSA or bring it through customs, so I would leave the drugs at home, nicotine, cannabis primarily, or I'd be going on vacation saying okay, I'm not going to drink. And then what would happen would be I would leave nicotine and cannabis at home, and I would actually wind up going through nicotine and cannabis withdrawal while I was on vacation. And inherently, going through withdrawal symptoms while trying to enjoy myself on vacation would ruin my vacation. So those were the two things that would happen. I'd either vacation with an immense amount of stress and anxiety because I'm bringing substances with me and I'm worried I'm going to get caught, or I would quit right before the vacation and wind up experiencing withdrawal symptoms, which would also take away from truly incredible experiences that I was set to have on the cruise or on the vacation or on the trip. It could be as like a trip to Florida or to Canada even. I'm in New York, so Canada is not far away. That's why I say even it's not a big trip for me to go there. I just can't begin to explain what a relief it is. And it's so eye-opening to me even years later in how many ways that the substances, the drugs, be it cannabis, nicotine, alcohol, actually added to the stress, added to the anxiety, and prevented me from enjoying the things in life that were truly enjoyable because it took away my ability to be fully present in the moment. And I can respect how there's some moments where people don't want to be present because it's a tragedy or a traumatic event or the emotions are just too overwhelming. But as I say, in substance use, you don't get to pick and choose. It's not like I could choose to smoke weed just to distract myself from the pain of a tragedy and then flip the switch the next day and really enjoy being present with my family on a cruise, right? Because I was always that all-in mentality. But now, years later, it's such a night and day difference. And another thing that I look back on when I was using substances, when I had first met my wife, and I quit substances, I think it's about 9 years ago now, I had no interest in traveling, right? Because I would just use nicotine all day, use weed at night, drink alcohol heavily on the weekends. And I had no interest in going anywhere. Like when my wife met me, I was like, yeah, I have zero interest in traveling. I have no interest in seeing the world. I have no interest in doing any of that stuff. And in my mind, I had been trained into that because what I would do is I would just pound nicotine all day long and work. Smoke weed at night, think I was relieving the stress of my job, and then just, ramp up and work again the next day, 12, 13 hours a day. And it's so sad to me that drugs made me so content with that lifestyle. It's just now, like I'd say maybe within the last 3 years, 2 years maybe, that I've really come to realize how much I was actually missing out on from substance use, from regular substance use. Now I could also say there was a financial component to it as well, right? If you added up each month how much money I was spending on nicotine, cannabis, and alcohol, right? Going out, drinking 2 to 3 times a week, drinking, 3 to 4 drinks a week, 2 to 3 times a week, drinking dirty martinis, you're about $17 a drink. I was spending a lot of money on a weekly basis. I thought I was spending money on a fun experience, i.e. substance use, but actually going out into the world and doing stuff, the investment into these experiences blows that away. Like I can't even fathom that I was in that headspace once. It's interesting. Last night I was up on the top of the ship deck doing some of my client responses, one-on-one calls and sending text messages back to the people in my one-on-one coaching program. And there was a group of guys who sat down across from me. Maybe they'll watch this video one day. And they were in their maybe 40s or 50s. And right, we're on this gorgeous ship. You have this beautiful ocean breeze. I can see the skyline of all the lights outlining Istanbul, Turkey. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, how amazing is this experience? And these guys come up and they're blasted drunk out in their minds. They're eating a bunch of pizza and just garbage food. And this is at like 1 in the morning, okay? Normally I wouldn't be working that late, but because of the time zone differences, I have to keep up with my clients. And they're just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about how much money they lost in the casino. And they're laughing. They sound like they're having a good time. And I just thought to myself, like, I don't even think these people realize what they're depriving themselves of. And look, if that's what they want to do and that's how they want to have fun, by all means, I don't judge that. I just couldn't help but wonder, do they even know what actually feeling good and what actual level of enjoyment feels like? Because I was once in their shoes, right? I'd go on vacation and the goal was just to get loaded drunk. I'd usually buy weed from someone working in a restaurant or the valet kid or something like that with the cars. And that was what I thought the point of vacation was, right? And it's so ironic because looking back, those vacations or those trips, those holidays were never that. It was just a period of time that I was further destroying my body, further running from the actual problems in my life that needed to be resolved. People think they can do that by going on a trip or a vacation. You can't. That's just another layer of distraction. And I would feel like crap coming home. And I realized why. It's because I never got the opportunity to truly enjoy myself on that holiday or vacation, because I was constantly poisoning myself with substances, waking up, feeling like crap, trying to bury emotions deeper and deeper and deeper by running away or by drinking or by smoking weed in combination with running away on a vacation. And then in turn, because I was under the influence all the time, I never had the ability to sit down and like enjoy a meal with a beautiful view of this like incredible world that we're surrounded by. I was never able to be truly present with my friends or my significant other on those trips, because I was always focused on either A, I'm going through withdrawals because I don't have drugs, or B, I do have drugs and all I can think about is when my family's going to wrap this up so I can go sneak in another hit of cannabis off my cart, or go upstairs and get another drink so I can get loaded before, you know, this freaking day trip excursion that we're going to do. That was how I used to operate. And if that's how you're operating, I'm telling you, it sucks. And you're going to understand that once you cross over to the other side and you actually start feeling good again. I don't think I realized how bad I felt, and I don't think I realized how bad I was making it for myself. Enjoyment and opportunity, you are literally surrounded by, right? Especially if you're someone who has been successful in your career, successful in your family life. And if you're shooting yourself in the foot with substance use, I would tell you, you are entitled to a whole nother level of enjoyment that you don't even realize, but that enjoyment lies on the other side of making a decision, a commitment to quit using those substances. And for me to you, it's at least worth exploring that option. If it's something you're thinking about, I want you to check out that link in the video description to learn more about how you could work with me in our one-on-one coaching programs. All right, I'm sure I'll be shooting this same video again a year from now. Last year in May, I published a very similar video where I was cruising around like the south of France and all these really cool areas I've never been. And I just think of this every time I'm on a big trip. I recently shot a similar video while I was in Florida talking about this, just because I don't think people realize what they're missing out on. And you might say, you know, a lot of people I work with, it's within their financial means, but if it's not, think about it. How could you make it in your financial means, right? How would quitting substances increase your productivity, increase your work performance? How would operating at 100% of your full potential get you to go do the things that you want to do more often, right? I didn't start in this position, certainly not, right? So, all right, guys, until next time.